Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back. So now we move on to the first topic as an introduction to the access to the information. We are going to talk about the definition, concept, and purpose of access to materials. So first thing first, the definition of information access, it refers to the user ability to connect to a particular database, network, or electronic bulletin board system. Okay, in a broader context, the word access means the ability, okay, to obtain or to get information from some sources, which can be a book, a database, a file, internet, and so on. Okay, so you as a generation that know how to access to the internet, you know how to find the book, okay, where to find the book, and so on, and also the other materials, so you can be considered as a in the term of a information access. While other definition, alright, definition of access is individual ability to connect to particular database, network, or electronic board system. Alright, the ability to obtain or to get information from one or many sources to fulfill the needs of the user. And while access to information is ability to assemble all the right and accurate information that you need at the right time and the right place with the minimum money to spend. As we can see now, okay, you become a student, okay, so you already pay for the fees, okay, and then you get access to the facilities provided by the UITM. Also the usage of online database for the library itself, for instance. So you still pay the money but with the minimum cost, right? That is what it's mean. So what is information? Okay, information is knowledge resulted from data. Right, the result of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation based on available data. In other words, the data has been organized, structured, considered, and communicated. It may consist of data, image, text, document, and sounds. That is information. Alright, all of these can be considered as a information. So definition of information according to Fritz Club 1983 means determine that information is something one did not know before. You don't know before, but now you get the information. So it's a part of the information. It's a clue, right? Something that affect what one already knows. How data are interpreted, something useful in some way to the person receiving it, something sorry alright, something used in decision making, and then something that reduce uncertainty, something that provide more than what is stated, and something that change a person who receive it beliefs or expectation. Okay, that is information. So other definition of information is a data that has been converted to a meaningful and useful context for specific end user. Now what is information cycle? It's a chain. Okay, a chain of event over time as being processed by media. For example, a story or event goes through a series of stage acts involved by media, presented first by TV and radio, newspaper, magazine, journal, and finally comes into books. How to the events are tomorrow information. What happened today will be the information for tomorrow and afterwards. Okay. So the cycle, this is the information cycle. This also can be considered as a famous question if you refer back to the previous final exam question. Information cycle is one of the things that always been asked. Okay, either would be in part B or part C. Okay, as an essay. So it is a new knowledge is created, example new record, manuscript, etc. And then must be reviewed by peer or editor. Okay, and then item is being published. This one, if you go for the conference, this is what the things happen. Alright, you write your knowledge, or you come up with the papers. Okay, you do some research, and then you send it, okay, to be reviewed by the editors or the peer viewer. Alright, they will review, and then after that item is being published. So they, after being published, and then library bought buy that materials, so they go the process of indexing and cataloging and classification. Then library or information agency select, acquire and store. User express a need to information, search database, okay, and then you find out where to get the information. User read and then come out with the new idea. That is the cycle, starting with the reading. Okay, you read it and then you expand the knowledge itself. So the hierarchy of information, okay, uses data, information. From data, you come up with the information, useful information, and go for the knowledge and also wisdom. Alright, so characteristic of information. Information is often described as a commodity. Alright, it can be bought and sold, exchanged, accumulated and stored, patterned and owned. Often the use of information actually expanded. The potential demands for information is unlimited. This one. Alright, so can be considered in a variety ways. In fact, nowadays you can see that some people just sell our personal information to the certain part of the, we call as a scammer. So it's not really good actually, but that is the fact. People can just sell it, okay, to get their own advantages, okay, their own advantage for them to find the money, okay. And then information is considered to a personal, organizational and national resources of great value. So the economy is based not only on industry and physical resources but also on information. We also can expand our knowledge. We can just sell our knowledge. You know how to create or how to sell in for example e-commerce platform like Shopee, Lazada and so on. So you have that knowledge which everybody very struggle to find out how to sell it in that medium, but you have that knowledge, so you can just sell your knowledge to them so that they can also do the same thing, okay, to earn money for their own, for their own living life. All right. And then another, because it's important to the user, it's relative and depends on the changing situation, times and need. Information is most valuable when it is quickly and easily available and effectively organized. Okay. So characteristic of information, this is the other characteristic, which is expandable. Information can be expanded whenever you want. Information expand very fast in variety form and medium, especially nowadays with the helps of the internet. Okay, we call it as an internet. So internet will help you to expand the knowledge all over the world. In fact, you cannot stop it. Okay, you don't know how to stop. In fact, all right, you have to admit that when you do certain a certain knowledge sharing, you must bear in mind there is there is another effect, which is you cannot stop it from being separate or being expand to everybody. Okay. And then compressible information also can be summarized, miniatured for easy handling. Okay, information can compress to abstract, summarize or synopsis. In fact, you also can compress the information. Okay, from the 48 slide, for example, we do have a 90 slide. Okay, so how we are going to compress? You make it into in the form of the mind mapping, for example. That is the way of the compressible. It is one of the character of the information itself. And then substitutable, information can be repackaged or replaced or transferred into other form. All right, information also can be value like other materials like land, vehicle and etc. And then transportable, information can be moved anytime, anyway, and at a span of time. And information can be transferred as fast as light and like pushing a button. As simple as that. You press the enter one, then everything can be separate. Okay. Diffusive, it tends to leak and in the regard cannot be processed. Information tends to leak. And shareable, it can be shared by many people at the same time. It can be shared with other without take the owner ideas. Okay. So now, what is the characteristic involved between good information and poor information? Alright, this is the differentiate. Okay, differences between valuable and invaluable information. Good information and poor information. Good information come with relevant, timely, accuracy and completeness, concise or to the point, and also reduce uncertainty. While for the poor information, it includes irrelevant, swamping, incomplete, unclear, and not all there. So here is the explanation about the good information and poor information. So relevant information must relate to the business at hand and fulfill the needs of the user. So When it's suit with the needs, it means that it's relevant, okay, to the user. Irrelevant if information is of little value when it is too old or out of date to be relevant to the user's need, right? For example, in terms of technology, information about technology, okay, technology keep change in a split of second actually, right? So the things that happened 5 years before cannot be considered as a good information anymore because it tend to be obsolete. That is what it means when it comes to the technology. But it different with the history. All right, the long time ago history is much better than the things that really new. Okay, in that field. Do you mean? Do you get what I mean? Okay, and then timely must be available when needed within the time frame desired by the user. Okay, you want to submit the assignment this week, for example, so you want information to be available before the due date ends. Okay, so timely within the time frame, so that is considered as a good information, while poor information is fine print. This is not helpful when information is too voluminous to allow any sense to be made of it. It is the quality of information that is important, not quantity. There is certain people don't care how many information that you get, as long as you get the information. So that is what I'm being it's all about. Then accurate and complete, all information, available information should be accessible with emphasis on the right information, while incomplete, it may fail to provide the quality information. Then concise must be understandable to those who use it and must be able to be absorbed quickly for action, while for unclear, information is considered poor if it is not presented in a way that can help to make decision. Okay, so the issue in access to the information is information overload. Okay, or so called as information flood is a term that is usually used in conjunction with the various form of computer mediated communication, such as electronic mail overload. Okay, it refers to the state of affair of having too much information to make a decision or to remain informed about the topic. Overload, there is too much information until you don't know how to classify it. Is it relevant or not? Okay, information overload, people suffer from information overload when does not understand, okay, the valuable information, feel overwhelmed by the amount of information to be understood, does not know where to find information, does not know if certain information exists, and know where to find information but does not have the key to access it. Okay, this is why people suffer with the information overload. So the reason, increase in research and innovation. There is too much research and innovation from time to time that lead to the information overload, right? And advancement in IT and telecommunication, so information can be disseminated at the speed of light. Okay, the trends such as globalization increase the capacity to access to information on a globe scale. More information can be sourced through the internet. Okay, so the solution, filter the information. For example, email filter. Okay, email filter can be used to screen out less critical message. So you can just delete those who are not related to yourself. Okay, delete your name from the list server. This will limit the entry of irrelevant emails. Definitely, I'll give you an example. Before this, I start my work or my job at UITM Kelantan. Okay, and then after 5 years, I moved to the UITM Rembau. But my name or my email still inside the UITM Kelantan server. So each of every time they have a meeting, they will send to the email. So I will get that kind of email which is not relates to me at all. So I have to call them to inform that I'm already moved to the UiTM Negeri Sembilan. So please delete my emails from that server, for example. So that's why I'm not receiving any other email from the other UiTM except then UiTM Rembau itself. Okay. And then establishing boundaries and deadline is critical. Users need to take control of the information coming their way and develop an information management strategy that work for students. Okay. Information explosion. term that describe the rapidly increasing amount of published information and the effect of this abundance of data. As the amount of available data grow, the problems of managing the information become more difficult, which can lead to information overload or information fatigue. Okay, this is the issue in access of information, okay, which is information overload and information explosion. Refer to the situation of having too much information to take a decision, that is information overload. Difficult to identify what information is relevant to the decision. Disappointed, do not understand the available information, feel overwhelmed by the amount of information to be understood, do not know where to find information, do not know if certain information exists, and know where to find information but do not have the key to access it. That is information overload. Compared to information explosion, is described the rapidly increasing amount of published information and the effect of this abundance of data. Okay. Amount of data grow, the problem of managing the information become more difficult, can lead to information overload or information fatigue. Information overload happens after information explosion that we facing now. Okay, we can see that we consider as a information explosion now because you receive too much information, changes in few times in a month, for example. Okay, which is this COVID situation. Okay, we can just relate to the information explosion. So level of information needs. There are three levels of information needs in the professional world. Okay, the first one, information that is relevant to their field of work. Example, Faculty of Information Management student need to aware of any latest information or any latest issues about field of library and information science. Okay, and then level number 2 is information that is relevant to the organization. So UiTM lecturer must know the current news about UiTM, not USM, not UPM, not UKM, just UiTM. Okay, and information that is irrelevant to their field of work. It is unnecessary for librarians to know about the current trend in the field of tourism, but it's fine with someone interest pertaining to it. You are a librarian, you love to cook, for example. You love to fulfill your time with having a new meals, okay, having a new recipe, for example. It's okay, but not focusing on. Okay, you have to balance it, okay, with the needs. The needs to access information. Okay, every information has its value and useful to us. Every information has its importance. Information production involve cost and information explosion scenario. Okay, why? So the barrier. This is the barrier, okay, of problems in accessing to information. Government or departmental policies, legislative procedure prohibit access to information. Definitely, government, they have a restriction when you want to access to their documents. Okay, physical barrier, okay, which is okay, you orang kelainan upaya, for example, okay, have a physical barrier to access the information. Okay, information resources poorly organized or unorganized does not facilitate access. In terms of language barrier, illiteracy, fee for accessing information. Okay, fee, you have to pay to get the information. And then technologies and its sophistication, you don't know how to access to the internet, you don't know how to use the technology, for example. And then cost of financial constraint, censorship, different political viewpoint also can be a problem, and also copyright. So types of information resources, we have three types. First one is primary, the original document or the original information, not edited or published in any part of the world, okay, and not translated by anyone else, and pure information that not be filtered, not be interpreted or evaluated. For example, birth certificate. Birth certificate is considered as a primary sources. Okay, and then secondary sources, primary reference to primary information or original information has been modified, selected, rearranged for specific purpose for selected audience. Okay, been through the process of repackaging, edited, examination, restatement, interpretation, and published in any part of the world. And also the tools that lead to the primary sources. For example, textbook. Okay, that is the materials or the information inside the textbook as being compiled, as being sorting, okay, to make sure that it's real suitable for the at any stage of the purpose. Okay, and then tertiary, which information that has been gone through the process of cataloging and classification. Distillation and refining collection of primary and secondary sources, trace callback of the primary and secondary source information. For example, uh, bibliography of bibliographies. You can just find out it later on. Okay. And then source of information materials. Okay, we have for the primary sources. Example letters, making a scientific discovery, collecting data, recording an oral interview also can be considered as a primary. You go and interview, get the first hands interview, so that is can be considered as a primary sources and original artwork. While secondary sources, this one as I mentioned before, textbook, encyclopedia, yearbook, documentary and article in serial. And also tertiary, index, abstract, catalog, okay, so can be considered as a tertiary sources, sorry. And then format of information. We do have a printed materials, book, newspaper, monograph, articles, non-printed material, microfiche, microfilm, and electronic or online material. Okay, e-database, e-newspaper, multimedia document, and so on. So methods or way of accessing information, we can have in the manually or online, okay, using printed bibliography tools to locate the information, while online we do CD-ROMs, bibliography database, internet, and so on to locate the information. The pro and cons of where to access to the information. This is the pro and cons. Online, definitely much faster, up to date, systematic, but having a difficulties while there is electrical failure or system down. Okay, while manual is specifically for the bibliographic tools that are produced in the printed one, it is more time consuming. You have to browse through and then you have to know how to use how to read the table of content and also the index and abstract at the back of the material itself, for example. Okay. User concern over access to information, access time and access fee. They want fast and easy access to information. Definitely, they want total freedom to access information, right? And they want barriers to access information be minimized. This is what the user concern about accessing to the information. So as a conclusion, it is crystal clear that the development of new information superhighway now able to distribute a larger number of information than before has triggered the demand for information. In this digital age, individuals are concerned to have access to information as information is regarded as a vital commodity in which information can be sold or exchanged for something else that has value. The active use of information for decision making, where information can help in making an intelligent choice from among several alternatives, make user hope to have maximum access to their needed information. That's all. Any question you can ask after this, we can have a Google Meet, alright? Google Meet session. So thank you everyone. So this is the exercise for the chapter 1. So you can just do by your own. Later on, I will ask what this thing is all about. Okay? Okay, thank you class. Assalamualaikum.